Welcome back to the channel Biblical Truth You Have Never Heard. It is the purpose of the channel to introduce you to truths you most likely never knew about the Bible. This video is a continuation into the book of Matthew and covers chapter 3 and the baptism of Jesus. We will uncover fascinating typologies that will show you why he had to be baptized by John the Baptist and why it had to be in the river Jordan. I hope you watch to the end and truly enjoy this wonderful chapter and how it relates to our own baptisms as believers in Jesus Christ. Matthew chapter 3 introduces John the Baptist for the first time in Matthew's Gospel. He is wearing the garments of a prophet. His robe is made of camel's hair, which represents the idolatry of Israel, and his belt is made of leather and represents God's protection. And he is eating locusts, which represent God's wrath, and honey, which represents God's provision. He is in the wilderness baptizing the people of Israel in the Jordan. In the wilderness, however, does not mean that he is in an uninhabited area, but rather this is a typology of earth. A previous video showed that earth truly refers to the people that claim to be believers in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So, the wilderness would be a reference to those who claim to be of faith, but are wandering spiritually. John the Baptist is preaching to them not to follow the ways of the scribes and the Pharisees, but to follow the one who is to come. He then baptizes them in the river as a symbol of the future baptism in the Spirit of Christ. When Jesus shows up, John argues with him concerning who should be baptizing who, but searching out the typologies of the Old Testament confirms that John must baptize Jesus in the Jordan. The typology begins as far back as Cain and Abel, and the first instance of human bloodshed upon the earth. After Cain and Abel bring offerings to God and God rejects Cain's offering, Cain conspires to kill Abel in a field. The innocent blood of Abel then calls out to God from the mouth of the earth, and the act could only be avenged by the shedding of Cain's blood, as the wages of sin is death. But the act can only be atoned for in the earth if the blood shed for the atonement was also innocent. Thus the act was calling out to God since that time. Fast forward to Noah and his family being allowed to exit the ark after 5 months of flood waters upon the earth. Without being commanded to do so, Noah builds an altar of stone and offers burnt offerings to the Lord. This act of worship by Noah and all the patriarchs after him upon an altar of unmarred stones completes the perfect typology of the sacrifice of Christ. A perfect, unblemished, and innocent animal is sacrificed upon the wood which will be used to burn the remains. The innocent blood then covers the wood and seeps down through the stones to the earth. The wood and the blood in the wood is then burned, representing the sacrifice of Christ, and causes the sin to be remembered no more. But the blood covers the stones and seeps down to the earth, which then atones for the sins of the people. Fast forward again to the time of the tabernacle and Israel in the wilderness, wandering spiritually after the Exodus. In this era, the pure and unblemished sacrificial animal is sacrificed on a bronze altar, and the innocent blood is captured in a bronze bowl. The blood is then taken by a Levite priest into the dwelling place of God and sprinkled on the mercy seat covering the Ark of the Covenant. In the Ark of the Covenant is wood, in the form of the rod of Aaron, and stone, in the form of the tablets of the moral law of God, the 10 Commandments. While the animal is burned and the sin remembered no more, the blood then atones for the sin directly by God on his seat. Fast forward again to the time of Joshua and Israel finally being allowed into the Promised Land. The Ark of the Covenant is being carried by the Levite priests before all of Israel, and as the ark is carried into the Jordan, a torrent of a river at that time, is miraculously dammed up. Joshua is then commanded to build an altar of 12 stones representing the 12 tribes of Israel in the middle of the Jordan. It is implied then that he would offer burnt offerings to the Lord just as all altars are used for. Thus, the same rite as those of Noah and all the patriarchs of Israel was completed for the sins of all of Israel. This time, however, when the Ark of the Covenant was removed out of the flow path of the Jordan, and the river came rushing back, the stones and the earth covered in blood were washed. A true renewal of the covenant between God and Israel. Fast forward a final time to the time of John baptizing Jesus in the Jordan. Christ is the pure sacrifice and the innocent blood which will be shed for the sins of the whole world, and, being washed in the Jordan, symbolizes the new covenant and our renewal in him. He enters the water of the Jordan, the stone or condemnation of the law, and comes out of the water, the rock of our salvation. John then uses the typology of stone when confronting the Pharisees. He warns them not to use their heritage as proof to their salvation, and tells them that God can raise up children from the stones, which are the children of Israel that are condemned by the law, and not real stones from the riverbed. Jesus' baptism in the river has a secondary purpose. All priests must wash their hands in the bronze laver prior to beginning their ministry to God in the temple. Jesus' cleansing in the river as well as our own baptisms are meant to be this same symbol, that we are prepared to begin our ministry for God to others. I hope you have enjoyed another installment of Biblical Truth You Have Never Heard. If this study has encouraged or edified your faith, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel.